Remasters, remakes, remasters of remakes, repackaged realms revisited with relish. The games industry loves selling its old back to us again and again, and I, for one, refuse to take part in this money for old rope exchange program for a minute longer.
No way.
I mean it, I swear to God.
Some legends are destined to be retold.
Yeah, alright Lara, but you've told it like 4 times now. Oh God, there's your Auntie Lara again, going on about the time she shot a T-Rex. I have a New Year's resolution that, unlike the one I made last year about getting on a treadmill, I'm going to stick to, and it's this. I will not hand over any money for a re-released game in 2026. I don't care if it's the most careful, thoughtful, artistically justified remaster or remake, and let's face it, that almost never happens. I'm just not going to buy any game that already exists. Why? Well, I've been thinking about this, and I've rebought so many games over the years, multiple times in some cases, whether or not I've actually ended up replaying them thoroughly. Usually I just turn them on for 5 minutes and go, oh yeah, that does look better, and then subsequently never play the thing ever again. I'm a menace to my own wallet. During the heyday of the Xbox backward compatibility program, I rebought games that I already owned on multiple other systems because they added FPS boost or 4K rendering. I rebought Red Dead Redemption on Xbox One X because they updated it to render in 4K and it looked lush, right? This was back in 2018. Did I complete it? Did I Never bothered actually finishing it. I just got a warm dopamine glow from knowing that I had the best version available to me if I ever did want to replay it properly, which I didn't, as it turns out. I rinsed it back in the day and I kind of felt done with it. And then some years later it was re-released on PS4, but I read that on PS5 it ran at 60 FPS, which was a huge upgrade from the Xbox One X version, so I rebought it again. Played it for about 5 minutes to confirm that it did look and run better, put it down forever. Now, a year or two later, it's had a free update to a native PS5 version, and obviously I haven't paid any money for that, but I still diligently made sure to download the update the other night because, well, who knows why? Because I've got a weird brain sickness, probably, but I'm certainly not alone in this. Remasters and remakes are big business. Publishers know 2 things for certain. Firstly, that the console gaming audience is not really growing. It's aging. It's sorely lacking in fresh blood, and this has been an existential concern for some time. But that's a whole other video. Secondly, they know the one surefire way of extracting more and more revenue from us as we hurtle through middle age is to appeal to our growing sense of mortality. In short, we love handing over cash for that sweet, up-resed, now in 60 FPS nostalgia. Because of course we do. You never fall out of love with the old favourites, but this is a fast-moving, technology-based medium where games of yesteryear often fail to live up to our memory of them because in the intervening years we've experienced huge revolutions in game design, quality of life options, computing power, display technology. More than any other artistic medium, video games have a tendency to age badly, not because of their content, but because of the constantly evolving mechanisms by which they are built and experienced. And it's so gradual, you don't know how good you've got it until you go back and try and play one of these old things. And so when an old game comes back into your life, not exactly as it was, but how you remember it, all gorgeous and exciting, it feels like stepping into a time machine back to when the world was simpler and Coca-Cola tasted better and you could still see your Tadger. There is a more altruistic angle to this too. You can easily argue that it's imperative culturally to update old games to work with the latest technology purely so they don't become lost media, as has happened with so many works over the last 30 years. I know prettying up an old game and booting it back onto storefronts is not altruistic. It's not some noble effort to preserve these experiences for the benefit of future generations. It's to make a quick bit of cash on the back of work that's already been done by people who've already been paid, to get a new bite of the cherry, a new round of press, something to plug a release gap in Q3 that you didn't have to actually make. I get it, you get it, we all get it. It's a hard-nosed business case with some cultural benefits, assuming the end product doesn't massively f something up. And I happen to like the remaster of Sleeping Dogs, the heartbreakingly beautiful Switch 2 version of Mario Galaxy, the weird Unreal 5 Plasticine Nightmare Fuel remake of Oblivion.
What?
I like that Red Dead Redemption is no longer trapped in a 30 FPS prison, because that's frankly headache-inducing on a 55-inch OLED. It's not 2010 anymore. Gotta work with good tellies now. But when I think about the amount of money that I've spent buying and rebuying things I already had, things that I'd already finished, I wince, because that's thousands of pounds over the years, but also a lot of my attention as a consumer and a games critic, limited bandwidth that deserves to be spent on new things, experimental things, games that frankly need more attention than Bethesda re-releasing Skyrim for the umpteenth time and somehow managing to cock it up amazingly when porting Skyrim should be a matter of muscle memory for that lot by now. Games like, for example, Quantum Witch, a beautifully written 16-bit styled platform adventure hybrid that plays like a cross between Prince of Persia and Treasure Island Dizzy with all the self-awareness of a LucasArts title, a dimension-hopping epic of pilgrimage and parody, and a battle between ancient, unknowable gods that, well, I never got around to writing about because at the time I was replaying 2017's Breath of the Wild in retina-searing 1440p on the newly released Switch 2. Not a bad or regrettable use of my time, don't get me wrong, it just demonstrates how much of the conversation is perennially dominated by a relative handful of massively popular games that rarely relinquish the limelight. And so we find ourselves in a situation where the experimental, risk-taking industry that used to take big bets on mad like Metal Gear Solid, Shenmue, Morrowind, which was infamously a last roll of the dice for an almost bankrupt Bethesda at the time, GTA 3, which despite how it might look from this side of the telescope, was seen as a massive gamble. We've gone from a place where risk is our business to a place where nobody's job in this industry, frankly, is to make good or interesting games. It's to deliver value for shareholders. And that's how you end up at the Simon Cowell business model, where you only care about stuff that's charted in the past, when you have hard metrics like, hey, when the Bee Gees did this, it got to #1 in 9 countries. There's no friction in that. There's no volatile space where art and business intersect to make something memorable. It's just a slop machine. And speaking of slop, since long before the advent of generative AI, pop culture has been devouring itself. In the early 70s, our parents and grandparents would have been rolling their eyes at the prospect of a fifth, frankly dogshit Planet of the Apes movie. They've rebought the White Album on countless different formats. They've seen the entire media landscape terraform itself over and over again, always replaying and regurgitating the old hits as it does so. I've just been reminded that we've got another fifth Planet of the Apes movie on the way. As if, could anything demonstrate this better? The video games industry's growing tendency to lean on legacy franchises is nothing new. We've seen Hollywood spend the last half century pivoting from big gambles to big data, where it's now next to impossible to get anything made unless it's either very cheap,
Is it cake?
or very tied into an existing mega portfolio of films about guys in onesies firing particle effects at each other. And frankly, some game publishers are taking the your wee brother's favourite 6 out of 10 zombie bike 'em up scarcely needed an official remaster. It already looked and ran great on PS5. It had PS4 Pro enhancements active and a 60 FPS patch. And also, it's days gone. But we got a remaster just 6 years later, and the differences are marginal. Horizon Zero Dawn had itself a similar treatment in a similar time frame, again being remastered or remade or whatever, despite already running perfectly nicely on PS5 with resolution and frame rate enhancements. This sort of thing feels aggressively pointless. A lot of time with remasters and remakes, you end up in a place where the only truly noticeable differences between the new version and the old one are things that alter the artistic intent of the scene. Things like lighting changes, colour grading, camera angles. Consider the botched remaster of Assassin's Creed 3 that had such atrocious lighting issues that it looked inferior to the Xbox 360 original. Or the terrible Halo remake that's currently in the works that doesn't seem to actually have any real appreciation of what the original game was trying to achieve with its visual storytelling. Halo Combat Evolved, so good they've ruined it twice. I'm not in the business of convincing you guys not to play video games. This isn't me trying to organise a mass boycott of remasters. I know I'm not that important, I've got no illusions about that fact, and it wouldn't exactly be a good thing for IGN Entertainment and its various subsidiaries to try and kill the audience's interest in upcoming releases. I just strongly feel like I can no longer go on buying and rebuying I already have, to the detriment of the attention I could be giving to things that need it more, like Quantum Witch, like new things. Ian, I'm in the middle of something, man.
out in March.
There's a Black Flag remake on the way, one of the industry's best kept secrets. Okay, geez a minute. But of course, sometimes a classic game is just so pivotal, such a landmark that a remake is surely justified. For instance,